Morning, gang. It's Thursday, the 9th of May 2019. Welcome to Lincolnshire's Chapel Hill and this morning's United Kingdom talk. How are you this morning? I just had to make a little dash there. My charging cable, which works the text phone, I think it was the cable anyway. Yeah, that's all right now. It wasn't charging. It was like at 1%. And I thought, oh my God, what if people text the show? 2 people might accidentally text the show today and I won't be able to read the text. So that's all sorted now. I'm very glad to say. These, I bought this from Amazon, this one, because it looked quite substantial. You know, it's like a cable like with some sort of material wrapped around it. I thought that would last. But I plugged it in about 20 minutes ago and I just had another look. And it was like only 1% charged. So I suppose that's another one broken. They don't last, these things, do they? I've actually got, although it doesn't work for the old text-in phone, but for my iPhone, what is this one? 8, I think this is. iPhone 8. I can put it on what's that thing called? You know, a little piece of plastic or rubber, and you just put it on there and it charges up without any wires going into it. My mate's got a spare one of those and he keeps saying he'll give it to me, but it don't arrive. Another one of those people, you know, promising things that don't ever arrive. And the other thing I noticed while I was just watching back on a bit of the show yesterday for quality check, I don't watch my own shows, that's why I point it out. I don't sit, how sad would that be? I bet there's people that do that. They sit there and watch their own shows, just checking on the new telly, in the living room, the new telly, just checking for like quality picture. And I was very impressed actually with how it looks on a big telly. It's not a massive telly. I bought a telly for the living room because the other one was having trouble turning on. It was quite old, quite thick as well at the back. I bought a new telly. I'll tell you about that later. Oh, they're fun to set up, aren't they? New tellies. Oh, don't even go there. I'll tell you about it later. But while I was setting it up, I suddenly realised the bit on the screen in front of you there, right? Well, you see the Union flag there, and underneath the phone number, okay, text number, it didn't say text. It didn't say text. And I thought, oh, there might be people trying to call in, thinking that it's like a phone-in number, which it isn't. The phone-in number is completely separate. Here's the phone-in number. The phone is not open at the moment, okay? So it won't ring. See, that's the phone-in number up there, completely different. That's just a text-in number. Text in now. 07551 259 675 is our magic textual, I like that word, textual service, okay? That's what that's all about. Also, the other thing I noticed, I completely didn't tell you about the Greggs story that I had all lined up for yesterday. I mentioned it right at the beginning of the show yesterday, and we never got around to it. How mad is that? See, I'm promising you things and not delivering. I must deliver. We will be leaving Brexit on the 29th of March 2000. I'm going to say that 105 times and then not deliver. Oh dear. I watched this Brexit programme on BBC 4 Colour last night. I don't know if any of you saw that. Well, I turned it off after half hour. What a boring programme that was. I was expecting to get excited, you know, like all these foreign people were slagging us off. No, not the case at all. Not really. Not really. I think they just wanted to do a deal. Really. I turned it off after half hour, got bored with it. Anyone else watch that? Let's see who's in the house this morning. First message of the day, unusually, comes via YouTube from Weird City Citizen. Good morning to you and pow to you. Power to all our friends. To the music that never ends. To the people we want to see. Baby power to you. Eurovision song sung by the great Sir Cliff Richard. We bow down in your holy name. Morning, Weird City. Only 2 weeks to Eurovision. Is that exciting for you? I look forward to it. Morning to Liam Manning, who is celebrating an anniversary recently, weren't you, Liam? Happy anniversary to you. Good morning, Liam. Shania Steele is going to church. What? On a Thursday, dear? Have they moved? Is Thursday the new Sunday? Why are you going to church today? What have you got to do? Shania is a sacristan. A sacristian. Sacristian? I don't know how you say it now. Sacristian, I think, is the word we're looking for. Yes, she has to tell people what to do. She's a very important person. Not me. Not important. I just go and bang out a few tunes on the organ and now and again. I'm not important. Shania is a very important person at her church. She walks around with a clipboard. Oh yes, clipboards. Clipboards in church. Morning to Kareem. Morning, Kareem. You right, sir? Alan Russell's in the house. Good morning, Alan. Diane Jeb. Joanna is there. Oh, what a good job you were there. So early, Joanna, to hear my first efforts at singing this morning. Hello to George Ramsey. It's gorgeous, hot and sunny in Benidorm. Pfft, not here, George. Awful out there. It's completely overcast this morning. Not particularly cold, but completely overcast. Yes. Morning to where are we? Ray Reynolds is in the house. Good morning, Ray. Who says hello, Lincolnshire. Good morning, London. Good morning, sir. LaBelle. Oh, the delightful LaBelle, who thinks I'm delicious. You must come and have a little lick at some point, LaBelle. You really must, my love. Hello to Michael Lawrence. Weird City has Brexit lethargy now. Me too, I think we all do. Brexit lethargy, absolutely. Paul and Lou are in the house, nice and early. Welcome. Well done for joining us so early this morning. Good God. And Wayne Martin's there. Wayne's doing my karaoke for me next Monday, okay? If anyone's going down to Central Station, let's just double check on the other side of the screen. So anyone who hasn't come up. Yes, Mike, I thought you'd be there. Mike Rees-Ponto is in the house. Good morning to you. Coming up on the other screen there, next to me on the left. And texting in. God, we're all there on time today, aren't we? Maureen's even there as well. Look at that. Maureen's there as well. Good morning, texting in on the text-in number. Good. So can I just do, before I forget this morning, let me do the Greg's sausage roll story that I should have done yesterday. And someone's written in the Daily Mirror, this was, a bloke who wants you to know what it's actually like to work at Greg's. I would imagine that's a pretty boring job. I'll be honest with you. I don't think I could stand there, customer after customer, wanting this, that, the other. I did a very boring job. I did work in a shop. That was my first ever job. I worked in Millets in Putney High Street. And then my second job, which I run, run alongside the other job, different days. I worked in like a supermarket, more like a, not a mini supermarket, but in between a mini supermarket and a supermarket, if you see what I mean. It was large-ish, but you could run it on for 3 or 4 staff. It wasn't massive. Used to stack the shelves, work the till, do the floor. Never really got bored in there. We had a little bit of a trouble with local lads in there all the time, coming in and nicking drink and that sort of stuff. But I didn't find it particularly boring, that job. The job I found boring, I worked for British Telecom as a directory inquiry operator. That was, my God, that was boring. You literally were just looking up phone numbers for people. I mean, they were the days when you could do it for free. You dial 142 for London numbers or 192 for outer London. And you would get through to people like myself. There wasn't many fellas there. There was about 5 fellas and the rest were all girls in there. And you would say, oh, could I have the number for Victoria Coach Station, please? Do that. 020-730-0202. That was probably the most common number asked for. Victoria Coach Station, followed by Victoria Railway Station. And British Telecom looked after you. It was a good job, okay? You got a pension at the end of it. You got subsidised meals. You got decent break. You got hour for lunch. 2 15-minute tea breaks. They were really hot on you turning up on time. Very hot. They if you were 3 minutes late, you got a red line. There'd be a red line. You know, you'd sign this book as you went in, and then 3 minutes past 8, this red line would come. And if you went below that red line more than 3 times, I think you had to go and see the chief supervisor. Chief supervisor, can I help you? Very, very good. But it was a good job. It was a good job. But my God, was it boring. It really was. And it was a great big switch room of people. And if you wanted to go to the toilet, there were hooks hanging up. And you'd have to go over to one of the hooks and hang your headset up. See? And then if someone else wanted to go to the toilet and there was a headset hung up, you had to wait for that person to come back. These were also used as cigarette breaks because we all smoked in those days. And you'd go in the locker room and have a fag. Not out the window, you could just smoke anywhere in those times. You can't do that now, of course. And if you were desperate to go to the toilet and there was one hanging up, you'd have a look around to see if any of the other hooks were available. And if they weren't, you would then have to push your button, at which point a buzzer would buzz on the supervisor's desk. Oh, hello, I'm really desperate to go to the toilet. Oh, can you wait 2 minutes? No, I really need... Okay, we'll just go. And you would go. And that's it. Directory inquiry. But actually, the job itself was incredibly boring. Oh, my God. Looking up phone number after phone number, dear. Well, I would imagine working in Greggs is a little bit like that. And in the Daily Mirror, as I say, Jonathan Coles, who spent 6 years behind the counter, some of the chain's 1,700 bakeries, has revealed what it's like being behind the counter. Oh, LaBelle says she's a bit too far away to taste me. Oh, well, never mind. I can send you a sample in a small bottle if you want to. Morning to Graham, Kenny Eads. Morning, Graham. And John Aitken is in the house. Good morning, Graham. Where's the sun gone? Well, it's not here. We haven't got any sunshine in Lincolnshire this morning. The story says most of us love tucking into a sausage roll, a steak bake, or a slice of pizza from Greggs. Because they do slices of pizza, but you've got to get them when they just come out of the oven. Because they're not allowed to keep stuff warm, are they? You know, if they have something to keep you warm, they have to add so much money on that or something. Although it has to be said, I've had cold pizza before and it's all right. In my younger days, you know, we used to come home from the pub or something like that. We'd have a pizza. You'd never eat all of it, would you? You'd be too pissed. You'd fall asleep on the settee halfway through, pizza on your pizza in one hand, and you'd wake up 3 hours later. Oh, it was a pizza, and then you'd eat it. All for breakfast. The story says, but what's life like for the people serving up Greggs treats day after day? A former employee has revealed what it's really like to work for the bakery giant and has explained the things which really, really annoy the staff. A former employee, Jonathan Coles, spent 6 years behind the counter. He's also a journalist in Somerset Live. Spent 6 years behind the counter, some of the chain's 1,700 bakeries. He shared some of the most annoying points of the job and the parts of the role he really loved. Number one, you never get bored of the discount. They get 50% off. That's decent, isn't it? And it's also decent for the company. Now, that says to me the company is looking after its staff. Stuff like that. Because staff need to be respected. I myself, I go to Central Station. It's the only place I work now. I do 3 nights a week and I get paid. Now, for some bosses, they think that's enough. And I do understand that. But there's nothing else. You don't feel valued. You might get your money at the end of the night. But did you feel valued or not? Well, I do, because every few weeks or every couple of months or so, one of the governors, Duncan is his name, delightful man, will come up while I'm setting up and say, all right, Chris, just wanted to thank you for what you do here. And that means the world to people. Perhaps giving them a little kickback now and again. I don't get a kickback now and again, but some companies do that as well. You've done really well today. Here's 50 quid. I've had that before at places. Other places, you turn up, you do your job, you go home. And they don't see the value of thanking someone either verbally or with something. You know, here's a new car for you. That wouldn't go down amiss, would it? Greggs give their staff 50% discount. Decent. He says, after nearly 6 years, I was still more than happy to bite into heavily discounted sausage rolls on my break. At less than 50p a go, it was almost rude not to. I love, as you know, regular viewers to the show will know, I love the Greggs vegan sausage rolls. If you've not tried one yet, please do. They're so similar to the normal ones. They taste delicious. Good morning to Veronica on Vaughan Live. Good morning to you. Wayne says Duncan is really nice. Oh, but he hates you, Wayne. Absolutely hates you. I mean, Wayne is doing my karaoke next Monday. He drives a bus as well. Maybe your bus employees at the end of your shift one day, well, you've done really well today, have a bus. Oh, wouldn't it be fantastic? Having your own bus. Like a little karaoke bus. You could be driving it, Wayne, and I'll host the karaoke. How fabulous would that be? At the front of the bus. I love it. Number 2, you learn to love early mornings. Now, I'll be honest with you. I could get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go to work. I could. If I wasn't doing any jobs at all, I'd probably be doing this show quite early in the morning, maybe 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. I like the early mornings. My day consists of getting up usually around about 7:45, okay? I don't need to set the alarm for that anymore, except on a Tuesday where I tend to get up later, and a Saturday as well because I've had a late night. Not going out, but I haven't been out for years. I haven't been out at night for years. Can you believe that? Anyway, this bloke who works at Greggs, in the Daily Mirror this is, I worked at one store that was located on an industrial estate, which meant 4 a.m. starts. Although I didn't love getting up, the mornings used to fly by with workers popping in for their bacon rolls. However, running out of baps is a nightmare. Oh, can you just imagine that? These blokes turning up, you know, you just come off, well, I suppose, 4 o'clock in the morning and they're going to work. And there are a lot of people that don't bother doing their own breakfast in the morning. They go out and buy something, which actually, if you work it out over the year, costs you an absolute thousands. You spend thousands of pounds having coffees and breakfast because you didn't do your breakfast in the morning. I always have breakfast in the morning at home. Always. But some blokes, you know, to get up and on the way to work, they get a bacon roll or something like that. Can you imagine, like, 5 of them turning up? I'm sorry, we've got no baps left. Oh my God, they'd go mad, wouldn't they? Number 3, the uniform isn't the most flattering. Instantly recognisable, yes. Flattering, not so much. However, needs must, your apron would invariably be covered after a shift, proving its worth. I've got to be honest, I haven't particularly thought that the Greggs uniforms isn't particularly horrible. What do you think? And what do you buy from? Do you go to Greggs? What do you have from Greggs? The only thing I really buy is the sausage rolls. I rarely sit in. Some of these places you can sit in now, can't you? And have your rolls or whatever. I'll have them. If I sit in, which is very, very rare, I'll have a couple of vegan sausage rolls and a cup of tea or one. And maybe one of those cakes with the pink icing. I think that's called a Tottenham cake. Oh! Yes, please, Mummy! Tottenham cake! That's what we want. What do you have in Greggs when do you ever go to Greggs? Tell me what you have. What do you have in there? Another point, the staff are lovely. And I have to say, I haven't come across a rude member of Greggs staff ever. They're friendly. It says, like most jobs, it's the people that make it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Greggs was my first part-time job. You see, it's true with everything. The staff often make it. Look at the karaoke. I tried to be friendly. Sometimes I might get wrapped up in something and I haven't got time to talk to someone, or I might come across as a bit sharp, but I don't mean it. I'm trying to get on with something, you know. God knows our Wayne manages. You know, he don't talk to anyone. He just sits there as miserable as sin all night long. Isn't that right, Wayne? Is that right, Wayne? You don't talk to anyone. You just give me them request slips and you're rude. Is that right? Is it right if you get someone who can't sing quite so well as yourself that you turn the microphone off just to make you sound better? Is that correct? Good morning to Michael Lawrence. Morning. John likes the cheese and onion slices from Greggs. Yes. Very, very tasty. Oh, it's the pastry that does it. They got that pastry down to a T, haven't they? John gets up at 6 o'clock every morning. When it says the bus company, regular buyers, pizza. Oh, well, that's nice. Yeah, that's nice, isn't it? What else? Come on, some more of you must go to Greggs for something to eat. The story says Greggs was my first part-time job. A misguided stint as a waiter doesn't count, so I didn't know what to expect when I was handed my hat. Luckily, since that moment, every colleague I met was lovely. Yes, there was the odd difficult person here and there, but where isn't there? but on the whole, staff are always willing to go the extra mile for each other. From young people like me trying to earn a little bit of extra money to older generations looking to work fewer hours to parents supporting a family, Greggs has something for everyone. So it seems to be quite a decent company to work for. And I honestly believe if companies are nice to their staff, you get more out of them. The worst experience I saw, and it didn't affect me to be honest, was a place that I worked at. And it had this awful manager who treated the staff like dirt. Absolutely. It was a nice nightclub in Ealing. I watched how he spoke to members of young bar staff. It was disgusting. In fact, I left because of that. I wasn't involved in it at all. I was just treated like a normal person. But he's one of these people that, you've done your job, there's your money, get out, sort of thing. One of those sort. No appreciation whatsoever. Dreadful man. And I think once you start treating staff like that, they start nicking and misbehaving. You need to treat staff with decency. Absolutely. Ian Scott says, will you stop talking about sausage rolls? I haven't had a Gregg for 22 years since I moved to the USA. Americans don't do them here apart from a crap copy, pigs in blankets. Oh, it's nothing like a Gregg sausage roll, dear. No. I'm just wondering, Michael, Mr. Ponto, do you have those at all? Do you have sausage rolls? Have you never had a Gregg sausage roll? You must have done, Mike. Mike Reese Ponto, you must have done. LaBelle, did you just call me mummy? I used to work at a theatre company here in the US, set my own hours. I'm a night owl. While you are all getting up, I'm tuning in. I used to be a night owl, LaBelle. When I was DJing, I worked in some big clubs as well. I worked in Heaven, you probably know Heaven, in London. I was there for about 3 years. Not on the main floor, in the pop room on a Wednesday night. It's about 10 years ago now, actually. And the Black Cap, I was at the Black Cap 18 years. And I was a night owl. I used to work till 2, 3 in the morning. And there was a place in Brighton. I used to work in there 2 a.m. till 6 a.m. So I used to be a night owl as well. I don't think I could do it anymore. I wouldn't want to do it anymore. No, I'm a day person now. I'm a day person. Wayne says, I knew you were going to mention Ealing. John has gone there. You're having a laugh, aren't you? No, that's the one I'm talking about, Wayne. I'm not even going to mention his name. No, incorrect. You watch how he talks to his bar staff. It's disgusting. Anyway, let's just... well, I've lost my story now. Here we go. Food hygiene in Greggs. Very, very important. It's tempting to assume that fast food outlets must cut corners somewhere to get products out quickly, which can translate to the belief that food hygiene isn't high on the list of priorities. No, I wouldn't have thought that. I mean, you go into McDonald's, right? I've never seen a dirty McDonald's. Okay, maybe at the front where people are eating their food. Sometimes you get disgusting people just leaving their trays of food and rubbish on the floor, and someone comes and cleans it eventually. But certainly, you look behind the counters at McDonald's. They are always cleaning and always sparkling silvery stainless steel stuff. They are so clean, McDonald's. And Greggs, to be fair, looks exactly the same. They look very clean. I must say, I've been into a couple of Kentuckys which look like a little bit grubby behind there. I don't know if it's the type of food that they do or whatever, but I've never ever seen a dirty McDonald's or a dirty Greggs. The Daily Mirror says this couldn't be further from the truth that food hygiene isn't high on the list. Greggs are very hot on fast food, often asking employees to take courses to refresh their knowledge. All products must reach a certain temperature before they can be served, and at the time they are displayed closely monitored, getting thrown in the bin when the threshold is reached. And there's a lot of places do that. They throw terrible waste, I think, I mean, if a bit of pizza goes cold, so what? I'm sure someone somewhere could eat it, couldn't they? Waste. He says there's no getting around it. A lot of food gets thrown away at the end of the day. However, every item is accounted for, so nothing is thrown away that shouldn't be. One store I worked at had a great initiative where 1 or 2 evenings a week, a local charity would come to the shop and collect as much as they could to give to children in need, which is fantastic. I think Pret a Manger, what's it called? Pret a Manger. Pret a Manger do that, don't they? I'm pretty sure of that. At the end of the day, I think they collect a lot of, not every single store perhaps, but I think a lot of them bag up their stuff and give it to charities or homeless people, which is excellent. Why throw good food away? I'm really hot on that. You come in, look in my bin here in the caravan or while I'm at home, you'll never find any thrown away food, ever. If it's cooked, it gets eaten. End of. I look in the fridge, anything that's about to go out of date or that is slightly out of date, that's what I'll have today. Which is, usually it's not in the fridge long enough for that. I hate wasted food. The amount of people that think it's perfectly acceptable to leave half a plate of food that they've just cooked, with all the energy involved in making that tin of baked beans. My mate does it. He thinks it's perfectly all right to leave food on the plate. So much to the point that I don't give him many beans. He says, oh, let me have some more beans. No, you won't eat them. You leave them on the bloody plate. Why would I put them on the plate for you to chuck them in the bin again? No, you can have half a can now. Oh, please. No. No. You've had your chance. I've told you time and time again how hot I am about leaving food on the plate. And it's like chips. You know, even one chip on a plate, I'm offended. I am. I'm not joking. I am offended by food left on a plate. He might leave a few chips. Well, what's wrong with those? And I say, what's wrong with those chips? Oh, that one's got a little bit of black on it. It's just an eye. Cut it off and eat the rest of the bloody thing, dear. Oh, I can't eat anymore. I said, give them over it. And I eat them. I eat them. My sister does it. She does it. She'd do it tonight. I kid you not. We go to Skegness tonight. We'll be going around about 6 o'clock, 6:30 at night. We have our weekly visit to Skegness, which I won't be able to do next week because I'm on a little holiday myself. But she'll have a fish and chips. And she'll have this polystyrene thing with a massive bit of fish on it, which she eats all the fish, I'll give her that. But she leaves half the chips. And I am forced, against my will, to eat them all. Come on, give them over here. And sometimes her husband has some as well. I can't stand food being left on plates. I think that was Glenda just popping up there. Was that Glenda? Let's have a look. Good morning. Yes, there she is. Glenda in Pittsburgh, USA. Good morning, Glenda. Oh, that's yesterday's message. Hang on a minute. Oh, I beg your pardon. No, it's Maureen. Sorry, Maureen. Beg your pardon, Maureen. Maureen likes the vegan sausage rolls. I'm glad you've tried those. I buy 2, but I have the second one the next day heated 1 minute in the microwave. So there you go. Nothing wrong with that, is there? She has 2. I'm glad you like the vegan sausage rolls, Maureen. I love them. I absolutely love the Greggs vegan sausage rolls. Please, Mummy, let me have some more. Messages here. 1 minute. John, I'm in bed at 10:30 most nights. I can't remember the last time I went to a club. No, I haven't been for ages, John. Sometimes I think I might like to go. I was watching that programme on the television, Pose, which I've mentioned countless times. I've watched it again, actually, now with my mate. And I think on Saturday he's coming around to watch the last one again with me, which is really good. Pose, which you'll find on the iPlayer, BBC 3. I think it's also on BBC 2, as far as I know. Maureen watches it on BBC 2 on Sunday nights. And it's got a nightclub on that, and I watched that and think, oh, you know, I'd like to go to that again. But the trouble is, that programme is set in the 80s, right? If I went to a club, it wouldn't be that music, you know, like Earth, Wind and Fire. Dance, Boogie Wonderland, da, 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 da. I see some of you have shared the show today to your walls, so thank you very much for that. The more, the better. LaBelle, for what I do, the night time is where the creativity happens. Costumes and wigs get done for future shows, which means I don't have to go in till I'm actually needed. And then, of course, I perform, so I get the time to do a lot of the shows I wouldn't be able to. That's fantastic, LaBelle. I'd love to come and see your show at some point. Are you New York? I can't remember where you are. Are you New York? Can't remember where you are, LaBelle. I'd love to see one of your shows. Because, of course, that's what I used to do, LaBelle. You may not know. As I say, I used to work at the Black Cap, which was like the main drag cabaret place for London. It's not anymore. It's closed down, sadly. I think now you've got two main drag places really in London: the Vauxhall Tavern, and probably the main place is the Two Brewers, and there are sort of ones around it. Central Station, where I work, we have drag a few times a week as well. And I still work with drag queens on Saturday nights, and I've always got on with all of them. You know, everyone is different, and I love it. I love it. I was saying, you see, one of the problems I have with where I work is getting there. It can be a real nightmare, stuck in traffic, because I'm coming from West London to North London two of the nights a week, and then from Lincolnshire one night, and it's just a devil to get to. And sometimes I think, oh, I can't be doing this journey anymore. And then I'll have a great drag queen on, like Miss Jason or Charlie Hydes or something like that. And see, I'm doing just a little bit of a build up towards them, playing a bit of music, and then working their sound and lights. I mean, it's like a dream job, really. And I've managed to keep it going for like 30 odd years. I'm very, very lucky to be able to do what I do. And then the show finishes, and I go, if it's Saturday night, I go home shortly after the show. I'm only there for a couple of hours. And I get in my car and I think, you know, well, actually, I've had a good night again tonight. So it's difficult to know, but the traffic will get to me one day. It really will. Ian Scott, let's talk about Brexit. No, not interested. Not interested, Ian, in Brexit. I watched this programme last night on the telly. Brexit Mess or something like that. It's on BBC4 Colour. You can get it on the iPlayer. And I turned off after half hour. Boring. Really boring. Nothing exciting going on there. All right? We don't really do serious stuff, Ian. You know that. Come on, dear. It's much more interesting to talk about Greg's the Baker's Love. I haven't finished on that yet. There's a bit more coming up. Pose is a great show, says John. Absolutely. There's a second series being made as well. The black bloke who's not the mum. What's his name again? He's very good. He's the one that stands there with a microphone, got glasses on. I say black bloke. They're mostly black in that programme. I describe him differently, perhaps. Probably the oldest bloke in that programme. What's his name? I can't think of his name now. But he's great. Isn't he fantastic? He's absolutely great. Pose. Michael works for Waitrose, and I give free food to the homeless and make me feel better for doing it. And it does. It does when you're doing someone a favour like that, doesn't it? It really does. John says all of my friends are drag queens. They are fabulous people, yes. The Bell is indeed living on Long Island. I thought he was in New York, yes. That was Amityville. Amityville, house on the hill. Amityville, house on the hill. Yep. And no, the house isn't haunted. I could do a joke now, but it's a bit rude. No, I can't do it. Not on this show. Not on this show. I can't do it on this show. All right. Good morning, David Bailey. Hello, David. Long time no here. In London, I used to volunteer for Crisis Fair Share. And every evening, go around collecting sandwiches from Pret and food from Sainsbury's. I knew Pret did it. I knew they did. And food from Sainsbury's, Marks and Spencer's and other food outlets. Pret gave Crisis up to 1,000 sandwiches a week. I knew they did. The only problem was we had to sort out sandwiches for places like the Refugee Council in Brixton, bacon, sausages and other pork products. Oh, what? Because they're Muslims? I see, yeah, okay, fair enough. But I'll be honest with you, if you're giving them free stuff, I would expect them to sort that out themselves. Or is that part of their religion when they're not actually allowed to touch it even? In a plastic thing? Maybe it is, I don't know. I'm ill-informed on that one. Billy Porter, the original Lola of Kinky Boots on Broadway. Oh, yeah. Kinky Boots. Kinky Boots. I love it. I love it. Back to the Greg story then. Baking at Greg's isn't exactly the great British bake-off, it says here. This is the Greg story in the Daily Mirror. It says, forget technical challenges and showstoppers. Baking at Greg's is more about volume. Lunch can be relentless, a constant battle between supply and demand. But it's satisfying when you get it right and the shelves are looking full. Wasn't it lovely going into that Greg's and that smell of all that stuff being baked? Oh, it's delicious. Delicious. Is that hot, mate? Understandably, customers want their food warm at least. However, having to grab a paper bag and test the temperature can become a bit grating at times. Despite your best efforts to keep products warm, some people are never happy. I'd never complain, to be honest. I'll be honest with you. Sometimes those sausage rolls are warm. Sometimes they're hot. Sometimes they're a bit cold. I just eat them. You know, you'd rather them sort of warm to hot. That's my personal preference. But other people would prefer them cold anyway. It doesn't make much difference, really, does it? It's all about personal things. And it says, you learn the unique patterns on top of each bake by heart. Did you know that? Each baker's got a different pattern. That's how they can tell. Each individual product has a pattern on top, which makes it easily identifiable to the trained eye. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that. I suppose, yeah, I mean, when you think about it, because the sausage rolls look identical. The vegan ones and the non-vegan ones, the dead animal ones, I call them dead animals, the dead animal ones, they look identical. I hadn't checked to see if there's a different pattern on the top. I'll have a look for that. Oh, check that out. Check it out, baby. Check it out. Yeah. Let me just scroll up a bit here, my darlings. There we are. I think Mike's disappeared this morning. Mike, I can't see you at all anywhere this morning. Sorry. You've disappeared completely. Never mind. So that's the Greg story that I promised you yesterday that we didn't get to. So sorry about that, gang. But it's interesting, isn't it? I find that absolutely fascinating. I think most of the people that work for Greggs are probably reasonably happy with their jobs, except those that don't want to get up early. Yeah, there's a big difference between being a night owl and an early owl. I think the best time of the day is really early in the morning, sort of 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock in the summer, perhaps not so much in the winter, but 5 o'clock in the summer when you get up and that sun's out and it's a fresh, brand new day, and there's no one, certainly here, there's no one around at 5 o'clock in the morning. Different story in London. You've always got people walking around. It's like being in New York. I remember being in New York, and I'd just come out of seeing Mamma Mia, which I saw. I also saw it in London. Big difference. Big difference. And LaBelle will probably tell you this. I went to see Mamma Mia in London, and the audience all along, they're clapping along, singing the tunes as the show's going on in front of them. And at the end of going to the Mamma Mia, the show, not the film, at the end, they play a medley of ABBA hits. And in London, everyone gets up out of their seat and dances either on the spot, or they come round to the front or in the aisles, and everyone's dancing along to these songs. In New York, they sit there. So you've got this. If you'd already been to the London one, you go to the new one. Why isn't anyone dancing? Don't they know the songs? Well, I'm sure they do, but they don't dance. They sit there, and it looks like people are enjoying it. You know, they kind of swine their heads, but they don't get up and dance. And I was talking to my very, very good friend, who I've spoken to for a couple of years now. Suko was her name. And she said that's the New York audience. That they just want to sit there and watch a show. And it's very similar. I went to see Barry Manilow at the St. James Theatre. I'm sure you know it. I bet you've worked there, haven't you, LaBelle? The St. James Theatre, which is it's near a cinema as well in New York. And I've seen Barry Manilow shows about 8 or 9 times now. 3 or 4 times of those in the front row. Yeah, I paid the money, believe it or not, which I loved very much. And again, I've seen him in Florida. Now, where was that? Oh my God. What was the name of the theatre there? It was an arena. I can't remember the name of the theatre. But I've seen him in Florida. It was near Disney. It wasn't too far from Disney. Downtown Orlando. I've seen him in Orlando. And I've seen him in New York. And I've seen him in lots of places in Cardiff and in London. And another couple of places in the UK. Wembley. And here, whenever he puts a dance hit on, everyone gets up and starts dancing. And it was also the case in Orlando, not in New York. Not in New York. They sit there and they want to just sit there and watch the show. And of course, you've got the British people, the proper die-hard fans. I am a big fan of Barry Manilow. I'm not a die-hard fan like some of the lovely ladies I know are. But they're up, mate. They're sitting, they pay the money. They rather mortgage houses so they can just keep going to see Barry Manilow. And they're at the front, they're in that front row, and the songs come, and they're up and dancing. I just, excuse me, could you sit down, the people in New York? Could you sit down? We want to watch the show. They won't dance. It's funny, isn't it? Funny, isn't it, how different people act in different countries. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just how it is. People are just happy to sit there and watch the show. Good morning to Michael Pullman, joining us in Australia this morning. Morning, Michael. John has watched Stan and Ollie again last night. A lovely movie. I'd recommend it. Haven't seen that yet. I've actually got that now on DVD. It is available on DVD. The Stan and... It's obviously not the real Stan and Ollie, but funnily enough, you should mention that. I was just... last night, I decided to clear the caravan. Not clear it, clean it. Clean it up. And I did a lot last night. I had the duster out and everything last night. Hoover. To get ready for to put the new telly in place. Yes, a lot of dusting last night. Anyway, so I've got this new telly. Okay, it's not massive, only 43 inches. Got it really cheap. It was a very cheap price. I've been after a bigger one because the old one was 32 inches here. And I'll be honest, sitting on the other side of the room, I can't see the damn thing. Oh dear, I need glasses, I'm sure. So it was a Toshiba. Now, my television at the house is an LG, so I know how LG works. Well, I've got a telly in the living room and a telly in the bedroom. They're both, and one in the kitchen as well. And they're all LG, easy. Okay? It's very, very easy. I didn't find the Toshiba, I have to say, I did not find the Toshiba television easy to set up at all. Not at all. Let's just go back to one of the messages there. LaBelle says, usually the production... LaBelle's in New York. Usually the productions are slightly different of Mamma Mia. The books are different as well, as the audiences are very different. And we do dance in New York, but it depends on the show. But we feed like we paid so much for a ticket. We want to see the entire thing. But it varies. They want to sit down. They want their money's worth. I know what you mean. I'm the same, dear. I like value for money. Believe that. Oh, absolutely. I like value for money. So if I'm paying £400 to sit in the front row of a Barry Manilow concert, yeah, I can see that's value for money, right? If I pay £800 to have a scratch that big fixed on the car, that's not value for money. You are taking the mick out of me. And LaBelle says, also it's ABBA. Although we love them, they're more popular where you are. Yeah, I'm sure they are, actually. I know American people like ABBA, but they weren't massive over there, were they? Eh? Anyway, so back to the telly. So I've got this new telly out of the box. Managed to put the stand on quite easily. Only 8 screws. Put that together, put it on the thing, turn the thing on. So then it says, where are you? UK. What language? English. And we're going on so far forward. Now, with my LG TVs, it then asks you for your address and you put in your postcard so that it can select from the satellite which channels are directed towards your area. Okay? Because here in the UK, we have slightly different channels depending on what part of the UK you are in. It's like the old ITV sort of, you know, whether you were westward or West Country, Southern TVS, Meridian, Thames, London Weekend, Anglia, HTV and Wales, and going up the country you had Yorkshire, Tyne Tees coming over to Border, Granada, Scottish Television, and right at the top you had Grampian. So you had all these different regions. All these different regions of the country. And similar with the BBC. You've got BBC South, BBC South East, BBC London, BBC Wales, BBC West, BBC North East, BBC North West, BBC Scotland, and so on and so forth, right? So you type in your postcode wherever you are, and then you do the scan. So something I didn't expect on the telly. On the back, I've got 2 inputs. I've got aerial and satellite dish, which is great because I've got a little satellite dish on the telly. I haven't been using it because the old telly didn't have that socket in there. I don't know, maybe they all have that now. But certainly there's a satellite socket there. So oh, excellent. So I've plugged in the satellite socket. And I've plugged in the normal aerial and I started the scan, and it took a long time. This is going to take a long time, as that lady used to say in her programme on BBC Three. So this thing's going through the setup thing and doing its stuff. And it must have taken 15 to 20 minutes, 25 minutes even to complete this. Anyway, so I left it go and I thought no more of it. And it got to the end and I thought, fantastic. But then I started trying to watch the channels and they were all over the place. Channel 1, CBBC. Channel 2, I think was BBC 1 HD Scotland. Channel 3 was BBC 1 HD Wales. And I thought, what the bloody hell's gone on here? And I did not find it easy at all to set this telly up. With the LG one, it went through all that, and then at the end of it, it says sorting channels, and then it's done. BBC 1 HD is number 1. BBC 2 HD is 2, and it carries on, and it sorted them all out. Not with the Toshiba one. Very, very strange. And then I looked. I had the instruction book there, and all you've got is a quick start. So I thought, oh Christ. Well, where's the one online then? I thought, oh, it says download the manual online, you know, and it had one of them little square boxes, you know, with all the little dots in it, some sort of scanning code. Put your phone here and it will take you to the website. So I did that. It took me to the Toshiba website. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm looking for this support. Yeah. Download manuals. Manuals. Type in your model number here. And this always happens to me. Morning to Thomas. Morning, Thomas, on Vaughan Live. Morning. Oh, sorry, Central Television as well, Paul and Lou. Yes, and of course before that, ATV. They were up in the Midlands. Thank you very much. Sorry, I missed one out there, didn't I? I'm very good with telly. I took a great interest in all the little ITV companies and all that. Right. So, where did we get to on this? Oh yeah. So I got the manual. So I typed in my model number. No, it's not there. They must have every single manual there except the one for my telly. Oh, surprise, surprise. So then I discovered that the manual is on the television. Oh, okay. So I thought, well, where's this going to be? You know, you're looking in the corner and I found some settings. User manual. So go across the user manual. And I'm looking in there. Well, I mean, it might be written in double Dutch, to be honest. I couldn't work out what was going. And then, of course, it tells you to do something on the telly. But because you haven't got that manual, you then have to come out of it and try what you're to do on the telly. Okay. And then you've got to go back to the damn thing again. Not like having a book where you can have that open at the right page while you're trying to do something. What a palaver. And I still had trouble. I couldn't work out how to do this. So I wondered if somehow the digital aerial channels and the satellite channels seem to be all mixed up in one. So I thought what I'll do is I'll factory reset, unplug the aerial and just get the satellite ones. It was just a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. Eventually, I found on the channel list is filters, okay? And you can filter out either digital channels or whatever, you know. Would you want to watch the satellite channels or the digital ones? So I filtered out and went just to the satellite channels, but it was still in a funny order. But I now have a favourites list, and it took me ages to do this, absolutely ages. And I've said this to you so many times before. If you ever buy a new telly now, it's a nightmare setting the damn thing up. I'll give LG, I have to be given credit. I found the LG tellies very, very easy to set up. And it almost does the whole thing for you. The Toshiba one does not. Picture great, sound great, everything's great. But setting the damn thing up for the channels that you want. So I've got my favourite channels. You know what they are, don't you? You know my favourite channels. BBC 1, BBC 2, ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5. What else do I need? I don't watch anything else. Not really. Not really. I've also set up the iPlayer on it and my Netflix. So that's all working now, and that's fantastic. All working from my 4G router. Fantastic. But not easy to set up at all. How on earth the channels are all over the place, I really do not know. Very, very strange indeed. Thomas doesn't watch anything I talk about at all. Do you know? I'm good with connecting electronics. I was a slightly different thing, I think, connecting electronics and trying to set up a damn television. I'll tell you that now. Never mind, eh? Never mind. Alrighty, let's do today's birthdays, boys and girls. It's birthday time here on United Kingdom Talk. Happy birthday on this Thursday, the 9th of May, 2019, to a very, very good friend of mine, Andy Whitson. Good morning, Andy. Andy was a big-time DJ. He's 50 years old today. Welcome to the club, Andy. 50 years old today. And Andy sent me a little message. I do keep in contact. He was a barman at a place that I was DJing at called Harpo's in Earls Court. I'm going back here 28 years. He was a barman and he had his little yellow T-shirt on, and I was DJing at this place. I think I was about 27 or 28 years old at the time. Maybe younger than that, actually. It might be 30 years ago, something like that. I can't remember. And he sent me a little message a few months ago now it was, telling me that I inspired him to become a DJ. How nice is that? And he's done really well. He's done remixes. He works for Almighty. He worked for Almighty. He doesn't work for them anymore. He was actually known as Andy Almighty because he was like the main remixer for them, and he used to take tunes from famous people that you'd know. For example, Jerry Halliwell. He's remixed her and sent them out as records and things like that. So happy birthday to you, Andy. I hope you're well. He, like me, has now moved outside of London, and he's in Oxfordshire. He's got a little cottage in Oxfordshire, and he still commutes into London now and again to do his little job. He's a DJ at the Royal Vauxhall Tavern as well on a Sunday, along with Simon Levans and I think someone else. I think they've recently changed. Craig, I think it's Craig Jones is the other DJ there. So he's one of them. So happy birthday, Andy. Hope you're doing well. Many more years to come, my friend. Happy birthday today, 37 years old, Joanne Lane Wood, who lives in Roehampton. She's the wife of one of my nephews, Gary's best friends. So happy birthday, Joanne, 37 years old today. David Bennett, 49 today. I work for David, with David. I didn't work for David. I work with people usually. Some people I work for them. David, I like to consider I work with him. It's like Duncan at Central Station and Guy. I work with them, not for them. There's a big difference there, I think. You do feel that you work with people and for people, depending on who they are. But David today is 49 years old. I worked with him at the city of Quebec, which was a delightful place to work. A really, really nice place to work. Unfortunately, I was only there for about a year. New manager came in, refit, came back, and they didn't want karaoke. It wasn't me, they just didn't want karaoke. So happy birthday to you, David. I hope things are going well for you. Rick Morgan, good morning, Rick. Happy birthday to Rick. Rickki Glover is today 30 years old. Good morning, Rickki. Happy birthday to you. Sarah Louise Brown today is 34 years old. Michelle Collins. Good morning, Michelle. Happy birthday to you. And Arron Weedle, who I know from CMP Radio and Reach on Air. He's 41 today. So, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. All right. Happy birthday, gang. Michael says, I've got an LG TV. Very good. So easy to set up. John only has Panasonic. Much better than others. I had a Panasonic telly for years, actually, a plasma, which it didn't even stop working when I got rid of it, to be honest. I think I gave it to my sister, if I remember rightly, because I wanted a smart telly. I didn't know everyone was getting smart tellies, and I didn't have one. So I got rid of that and got a 65. That's at my house. A smart telly there. John says, I can't believe Andy is 50. Lovely guy. I met him at Brompton's many years ago. He really is, actually. He really is. When he's working, he does like to do his job, you know, and not be interrupted while he's doing his job, which is fair enough, you know, completely fair enough. He really is such a nice person, Andy. Good. Thanks ever so much for joining us. Did I sing happy birthday? Have I done the singing? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. All right. Have a lovely day, boys and girls. Thanks ever so much for watching the show today. And hopefully I'll see you again at some point tomorrow. I do hope the sun comes out. Otherwise we're going to get rather wet in Skegness tonight. Cheerio now.